Hey, it's Teja Gerken and Young, and we are here in Doug Young's home studio where we just finished recording our new CD of duets. It's called Teja Gerken and Young Duets, and we've had a lot of fun making it right here in this space. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about the different tunes that are on there and the process of making it. So, this is a tune of yours we just played.
We opened a CD with Autumn Roads. I actually recorded this previously as a solo piece, but then you had a baritone, and
we had a lot of fun arranging this.
Yeah.
Yes. So your arrangement is very similar to how you would play it solo.
Yeah, I didn't change anything, I don't think, but there was still room for you to add a part.
Exactly. So we used a lot of different guitars on this project, 12 different ones to be exact, and we're actually going to do a separate video so you can check out all the guitars we used. Very briefly, I'm playing a Mario Deseo baritone on this, and you're playing one of the Ed Claxtons.
Playing an Ed Claxton EM.
Great.
And you know, one of the things we're doing on a CD on almost every tune is playing in different tunings.
Right.
So here I'm in DGD GAD, sort of like Dadgad, but with the A string down to G, but capoed too.
Right, and I'm in Dadgad, but on the baritone, so that I have a low A and a high A on this guitar. Let's move on to the next tune on the CD, for which...
What is the next tune?
The next... good thing we have this here. This will be our set list for the next few gigs to come. St. Anne's Reel.
Yeah, that one, so that's my arrangement. I ended up writing both parts, and of course I gave you the hardest part.
Yes, you did.
This was arranged for an article on acoustic guitar some years ago on duets.
And that's really what set us off on this path. Doug and I started working together playing shows together, but not really as a formal duet for many, many years. And I think this article on fingerstyle duets kind of set us off on really arranging some of this stuff. So St. Anne's Reel, of course, is a traditional fiddle tune. How did you come up with the arrangement?
I just sat down and started working on it for solo guitar and dadgad, and came up with the basic parts for the melody, and tried to slow it down a little bit. Usually this thing's played blazingly fast, so I wanted it to be a little more of a fingerstyle type piece. But then, and then I tried to figure out what we could do for the second part, and ended up putting the second guitar in Orkney tuning.
Right, with a capo 7. I don't have the capo on
7.
here right now. So I'm capoed on the recording, capo 7, playing in Orkney tuning, and you're in Dadgad.
I'm in Dadgad, and the idea was really just to try to explore all the different techniques you could use for a duet. So there's counter melody, there's harmony, there's chord accompaniment. Right. We did solos.
Yep.
We pretty much hit everything.
Very fun tune to play. And I'm playing my Loudon 010 on this tune, which I think ended up sounding really nice on this. So that's St. Anne's Reel. Next we have a tune of mine. We have my tune Her Red Hair, and that's a tune that I've also previously recorded. It was on my first solo CD, On My Way, and it's a tune that I wrote dedicated to one of my sisters, and it's played in G minor tuning. And that, again, very similar to the arrangement of St. Anne's Reel. Doug came up with a second part in a different tuning. Like I said, I'm playing it in G minor. You're playing in Dadgad. And I'm playing it mostly the way I would play it as a solo piece. We expanded a couple of sections a little bit, and this was actually one of the first tunes we started playing.
Mm-hmm, I think so, yeah. And Dadgad works really nice in G minor, so it was a nice match.
Yeah, and it kind of avoids stepping on each other's toes a little bit that way.
All right, so the next tune on the CD is called the Seagull, and this is a tune that I recorded on my last CD, and Teja actually played on it. So it's not, it's a familiar tune to us.
Except that we completely rearranged it.
We completely rearranged it.
So that was a very fun process. This is a tune that you originally wrote reviewing a guitar.
Yes, indeed. This was, the tune is actually named, it's not named for a bird, it's named for a seagull mariner. And it was based on it's a couple licks that I came up with while we were reviewing that guitar for acoustic guitar. And then people seemed to like the little licks, so I turned it into a full tune. My first recording of it, we had bass, drums, and I forgot you played Martin or something.
And I played my Martin OM in standard tuning, and then we decided it would be a fun one to rearrange for this project.
But I'm using a 12-string in Dadgad tuning.
And I'm playing a National Tricone, and I'm playing this in C, G, C, G, C, D tuning with a capo on the second fret on the recording, playing slide. So again, lots of different tunings, and really fun to work with the two different textures of these guitars. So next up, we have a great tune written by Béla Fleck. We figured we'd include a banjo tune. This is actually a tune that, as far as I know, Béla wrote on guitar. It's I first heard it on the great album Uncommon Ritual, which is Béla Fleck, Edgar Meyer, and Mike Marshall. And it's a tune called Travis. And on the recording, Béla plays it on a national with the capo on the 5th fret in dadgat. And this is actually a funny example because I originally learned Béla's part, and I figured I brought it to the project and I said, hey Doug, why don't you come up with a second part to this? And we couldn't ever really figure out a way to do that. And in the end, Doug learned that part, and I came up with a second part to it in Orkney tuning without a capo. So we're kind of expanding the range of the guitars again like that, and it ended up being a lot of fun. And I'm flat picking most of this actually.
That's actually, one of the fun things about coming up with the duets is like what'll work, and sometimes we try multiple things.
Exactly, and this was definitely, in the end it came together kind of quick, but we had to try a lot of different things to really make it work. Okay, the next tune is a fun tune written by the great Spanish composer Francisco Tarega, and it's a classic guitar study that most classic guitarists learned fairly early on, and I learned this many years ago. It's called the Study in E minor. Well, when I got this baritone guitar several years ago, I was trying out some different repertoire with it, and it turns out that this piece just sounded really beautiful on this, and it also has an easy to follow structure. So it turned into a piece that we started using just to jam on at gigs, and then Doug ended up getting this incredible Tony Yamamoto miniature 12-string guitar, and it kind of made sense to try to put that and the big baritone together, and I think it's been a really fun process to
we probably played this. I probably used a regular guitar on this live with you sometimes.
Absolutely, we started out, we may have even started out both playing it on regular guitars, but this was kind of a fun way to kind of bent this tune in a way that it was never intended to be played. So the Study in E minor is now actually in B minor because of the way the baritone is tuned, and we definitely take some more liberties than intended with this.
So next up was my tune, Rainy Sunday. This is another tune that I previously recorded myself, but we decided to work it up as a duet, and we wanted to try some different textures. This song started out as an improvisation that I wrote on a John Mello guitar. John makes steel strings that are almost classical in their feel. So,
fan braced.
Yeah, so it felt appropriate to have a classical. So I'm still playing the tune on a 6-string, sorry, but we brought a classical into the mix.
I used my Kenny Hill ruck model on this, and basically came up with kind of single note line, a little bit of harmony to what was there already, and then we kind of expanded your solo version with kind of a little Latin sounding section where we both solo over.
Yeah, that was a nice addition. Really changed
so
the
feel.
So
that was another fun tune to try. Next up is another older tune of mine called Nairobi. It's a tune that I also recorded on my first solo album, On My Way, as a solo piece, and I played it on steel string guitar on that. And it's a piece that was inspired by a collection of sort of African guitar field recordings that I found on LPs, and it's actually a series called African Acoustics, and got it probably 25 years ago, and worked up this tune kind of in that style, called it Nairobi, and it sort of dropped out of my repertoire for several years, and then as we were figuring out tunes to try as duets, I decided to bring it back, and ended up being really fun to have Doug come up with a second part for it. I've modified my sections a little bit. I'm now playing at capo 3, and the original I played at capo 5. I just played in drop D tuning, and I think it really, having the second guitar in there really injected some life in the tune. It's really fun to kind of have a nice interlocking part like a lot of African guitar music does. The next tune on the album is a traditional Irish tune, The South Wind, and this is a tune that I brought to the project. It was also one of the first tunes we started playing together at gigs, and it's a tune a lot of guitar players do. I first heard John Renbourn play this. My arrangement was based on one done by Pat Kirtley, and I played this as a solo guitar piece for a long time, and basically the way I play it is very similar to how I would play it as a solo piece, but Doug came up with a beautiful second part, and He also has a solo section in there, and I'm playing this in DADGAD tuning on my Martin OM.
And I'm also on DADGAD on this one, so we didn't do anything too
So
revolutionary
this
here.
is one we're both playing in DADGAD, and it's a beautiful tune, and it's a fun one to play together. And it's also one that when we play gigs and there's a third guitarist on the show or something like that, we'll often jam on this tune.
All right, next up is Here Comes the Sun, and this is a revisiting of the same instrument combination we used on the Tarega piece,
stuff, yeah.
with the little mini high-strung guitar. So since this thing is already 5th fret, it's already kind of meant for something like Here Comes the Sun. I actually had to capo it too to get it up to what would be the 7th fret on a normal guitar.
Which is how the guitar part to Here Comes the Sun is usually played. So basically we had arranged the Tarega thing, and we both realized at the same time that it would be a perfect combination for Here Comes the Sun, which we actually didn't play together before as a duet, but we kind of arranged for this. And I'm, again, using the baritone guitar, in this case in drop D tuning. And that was a lot of fun, and kind of trying to figure out a way really to play more of a bass line with a little bit of harmony on this. And you're basically playing the original guitar part.
I am, although I'm in DADGAD tuning.
But you're in DADGAD tuning.
So I had to arrange the tune for DADGAD.
So a lot of fun with that tune, and always nice to include a Beatles tune on a recording.
So this is another tune that I have recorded previously, and also a tune that was written with an Acoustic Guitar Magazine article in mind, but we never used this. This never got published.
Right.
This was another duet idea, and the original idea was to try to come up with something that captured the feel of John Renbourn's classic duets with Bert Jansch and Stefan Grossman. So it really tries to capture that feel. John has a great tune called Snap a Little Owl, and my title, Red Snapper, was kind of inspired by that.
And you recorded this before playing both parts.
I played both parts, but both on acoustic.
I wanted to do something that was different from the way you recorded it, for starters. And since I'm basically playing the written part except for a couple of solos, and I think I came up with a little break that we're both doing that's different from the way you did it, I decided to try some just different things. And I tried the nylon-string guitar, I actually tried the National, and then I remembered that I have this electric archtop guitar. It's an Epiphone Joe Pass that I don't play very often, but it ended up being a really cool addition to this tune, I think, sonically.
And John did play electric on some.
And John did play electric on a lot of stuff, actually. On some of the Pentangle stuff, he played a Gibson 335, and there's some videos of him playing a Telecaster too. So it ended up being a lot of fun to use this on there, playing mostly single note melody parts, but I had a lot of fun stretching out on a couple solos on this too. So that's the Duets record. We really hope you check it out. You can check us out on tejaanddougguitar.com. We're on Bandcamp. We'll be on all the streaming platforms. And we want to talk a little bit about how it was recorded right here in this spot.
We recorded this over almost a year's time, I think.
Or more.
Yeah, it was just kind of a tune every once in a while when we could get together. Did it in my studio. Everything was recorded on a Macintosh using Logic. You see one of the projects behind us here. Microphones were these Bronners in front of us, or a pair of Sheps usually. I think we used some ribbon mics on a couple of tunes. So we weren't terribly consistent. Every tune was done a little bit differently. But in general, that's the setup that we used.
Yeah, and most of it was recorded live. There were a couple of things that we tracked separately, but there's no overdubs per se on the album. It's really the way we would play it live, and we hope to do so quite a bit over the course of this coming year. And so come on out and see us. That's the album. It's Teja Gerken and Young Duets. We hope you pick it up and enjoy it, and get in touch with us. See what you think of it, and check out the separate video we're working on, talking about all the guitars we used.